This conference will now be recorded.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to week 4 of effective copywriting. Yes, one more week and the effective copywriting class is done, and you get to go on a nice holiday break for a couple of weeks. All your work is due to me on Sunday, December 16th, and then you're free for the next 3 weeks. You don't come back to Full Sail until January 7th, where you'll be in month 5, which is design research with Professor Bartley Argo, who is awesome. You'll have a great time with him. But in the meantime, let's wrap up things with effective copywriting. This week, we're just doing 2 assignments. We're finalizing. Just so you know, I got stranded in New York and I'm a day behind. So I didn't get in until after midnight last night when I was supposed to be home Sunday at noon. So if I stumble or get confused, it's just the travel craziness that I just went through. Anyway, so Sunday your research paper is due. You got them all back today with my comments. So make sure you open up the research paper that I attached and you look at the comments in there and you make the changes, and then I may have challenged some of you to add some more, research or something or other. You need to make sure that you have your abstract and your conclusion written, all your references in there. I'll go into more detail about that in a minute. The other thing that I'll go over at once I'm done talking about writing for new media and presenting to a client, I'll go over the Mastery Journal assignment for the month. But first I want to talk about writing for new media, because I was a graphic designer for many, 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 many years, and I didn't pay attention to copywriting. I didn't have to do any copywriting as a designer. I mostly just had to make it look pretty. And for many of you, that is probably the same case. So now you've discovered these new skills. You've learned all about copywriting. Well, copywriting is more than just writing ad copy like we did this month with the testimonial ads. So there's new ways that you can use your copywriting skills to either build your business or offer your employer more skills, and that's by writing for new media. By new media, we mean all forms of digital communication. So a writer needs to know what type of media they're writing for. So we practiced a lot with writing for copy that's going to be read, like the copywriting we did for the ads or journalism. But you can also do writing that needs to be heard, like for radio spots or narration, which you may have to do later in this program. There's also writing to be seen, like if you're doing a public service announcement or a video presentation or a PowerPoint or keynote presentation. That's writing that's meant to be seen. So there's all different types of writing. But what you can also make some money at is content writing, because as you know, we are surrounded by the internet and all forms of it, whether it's on your computer or your smartphone or your tablet or whatever. It'll probably be like directly shooting into our brains in the next couple of years. But somebody's got to create all that content that's on these websites, that's on these mobile apps. This includes blogs, writing articles, interviews, briefs, scripts for video, social media. All of this is content marketing, and this is all things that you can do now that you've started to hone your writing skills. So keep that in mind as you start moving forward into new adventures with your careers and as you graduate from Full Sail. But with any type of writing, it takes time to do good writing. You just don't spit it out and it's done, but you want to pay attention to good grammar and punctuation. You want to make sure, though, especially with content marketing, you want to make sure that you're being concise, that you're not overwriting. You want to make sure that the voice and tone and that continuity is the same if you're writing for one client. So use active sentences. It will be is a passive sentence. So you always want to say that you're doing something, not that you will be doing something. And always be creative. Remember last week I made some comments about make a difference and how cliche it was. So always push yourself to go beyond that quote unquote make a difference. So let's talk a little bit about writing for the web, because writing for the web is different than writing for, say, a brochure or a billboard or a bumper sticker even, or web ads. Web copy is totally different than print copy because most people just scan websites. They glance at it, they're not reading it, they're coming because they are looking for specific information. So websites are usually written in this inverted pyramid style, which has the most important information at the top, and then it goes down in importance as you move through the website. So as you're writing for your websites, which you may have to do sometime in the future, you want to think about who's reading your websites. Those are the people that are looking for that information. They want to buy your product or make a donation to your nonprofit organization. So you always have to make sure that what you're offering is easy to find. That's really especially true with making donations to nonprofits. You want to make it as easy for them as possible to give you their money, because that's how nonprofits can exist. So again, with that inverted pyramid, your most important information is first. So you want to make sure that it's simple, that they can find it, and they don't have to, click through a bunch of pages to get to what they need. So don't try to be overly clever or overwrite your websites. Remember, they're not reading every single word. They're going to scan it to find what they're looking for, because people don't read websites. You want to be able to scan quickly to find the information that you went on the website to look for. So, for example, in your testimonial ads, a lot of you in your call to action used a web URL. If you get somebody to your web URL, it better be really easy for them to make a donation. There should be a donate button or a join a membership button, something that they can click to and make their donation really easily. So you want to make sure that your website has like a clear headline or a command on it. Make sure that your image communicates the sales message along with the copy. So you want to use like bullet copy so it's just easy to scan. Always keep your reader in mind as you're writing copy. So in order to talk to your customer, you need to know your customer. So again, those target audience profiles we did are really important as you're starting to create new projects. So you want to think about who your audience is and use familiar language for them. Don't overwrite your copy. Keep it simple. Remember, they don't like to read, so the paragraphs should be short. I always say 4 sentences max. The sentences themselves should be short, so keep it under 12 words. The good key to writing a good sentence is read it aloud, and if you run out of breath before you finish the sentence, it's too long. That's a trick from Walt Whitman. So that in order to make concise sentences, you have to get rid of the jargon, the unnecessary words, the passive tense, and the needless repetition. So they're coming to you for information, so address them just like that. Use the word you. You don't control where they go. So that's really important. How your architecture works with your information on the web is important. If they're coming to make a donation or to buy your product, make sure that they don't have to go into a bunch of different places to find it. Make it easy. People expect, you can expect people to just like find your website by accident. So always think about with your information architecture that if anybody just accidentally falls on your site, they can figure out who you are right away and get to what they need to look for easily. So make the pages easy to scan, clarify what your site is about, make sure that your menus are clear and that your footers are clear, so that people don't always have to rely on that navigation bar, that they land on your site and they immediately know what it's about. So with any type of advertising, the best way to get people to buy your product is to let them know that it's there. So make it easy for people to find your website. And remember that the copy has to be read through the customer's eyes. So I always say take a day to let your copy just sit, then come back to it with fresh eyes. Read it aloud and think about that target audience member. The reason we went through that whole personas project was so that you could really see these people and know these people. So as you're reading your copy aloud, you should be picturing these people and see how it's talking directly to them. Okay? And the final thing is you want to make sure your website's making a good visual impression. So it shouldn't be too busy, but it shouldn't be boring either. You want to have that synergy going on. That synergy is where the words and the pictures work together and everything just clicks. So always be clear, specific, and bold, but don't overdo it. Don't over design it. Don't overwrite it. So for some additional help with writing for the web, there is a really great tutorial on lynda.com called Writing for the Web. And your textbook Advertising Concept and Copy has a whole chapter on interactive advertising and social media and how to write for those. Because you never know when you might be asked to write copy for an electronic source. Okay. So the research paper that we started in week 3 that I got back to you with your grades and your comments today was basically framed around creating a client pitch and making you the smartest person in that room when it comes to the campaign that you're developing for your nonprofit organization. So when you finally have all your information ready and you're about to go into the room, you have to know how to present to the client. So here's some advice on what to do. First and foremost, be confident. The reason you did all that research, and we use it as an APA, graduate level research paper because that's part of graduate school. But think about how you put all that information together so that you truly understood the client, you truly understood the advertising problem, and you were able to sell your client on the solution that you wanted to design for them. So doing your research is important because if you start faking it and making up false claims, they're going to call you out on it and you're going to lose the job. So make sure you think about every question that they could possibly ask you and have those answers ready. It's important to know who's in the room. If you're going to pitch your ideas to the client, figure out, ask who's going to be there. Is it going to be the director of membership? Is it the president of the nonprofit? Is it the board of trustees? Understanding who's in the room helps you structure your pitch to who's there. So you want to be able to know who's in the room, so do some research on them. With nonprofits, it's really easy to find out information about who's running these charities. Okay, this is important. You want to structure your pitch so that the client really understands what's going on. So you want to think about it like this. You want to start by sharing the insights. What did you learn from the research that you did? Explain the conclusion that you came to based on that research. Then you're going to articulate your concept. So as a result of the research we did on your target audience and about your advertising problem, we've developed this concept. Then you're going to communicate how that concept is going to play across your media plan. Then you reveal the benefit. This is why we're executing it this way. We're doing magazine print ads and we're doing a coinciding social media blast so that people know that this is going on and we want you to use. So you're explaining why you're doing the media plan the way it is, why the ads look the way they do, which is why I pushed you guys on design research. Just because you like blue doesn't mean your target audience likes blue. So being able to quote from a piece of research while you're making your pitch just makes you sound like an expert. So it's really important. State the takeaway. The takeaway is basically this campaign. If they hire you to design this campaign, the takeaway is going to be that you're going to help them raise money as a result of the designs that you create. So reiterate that goal of the campaign throughout it, that if they've asked you to help them raise money, you're asking them to hire you to do that, and this is what you're going to do and how it's going to help them raise money. Okay? The assignments for this week. Okay, so we talked a little bit about the research paper, so I'll go over that again. What you're going to do is you're going to take the document that I sent back to you today. You're going to open it up and read through the comments in the margins, and you're going to make those corrections and fix things. Maybe there was some first person, maybe there were some wonky in-text citations. If you had issues with the reference page, I also marked that. I didn't take off for it, but I gave you hints on to how to fix it because you want it to be perfect for next week. Because in week 4, if the reference pages aren't formatted correctly, you lose points. So then you're going to write your conclusion. The conclusion wraps up the paper in a nice little bow. So you restate the thesis. You don't copy and paste it. You restate it. The whole point of writing this paper was to solve that advertising problem, which was part of your problem statement, and your thesis is that backbone of your paper. So restate it. Talk about how this was the problem and how you went about solving it. So the conclusion kind of brings the whole paper full circle. Now you're going to write an abstract. The abstract has to be no less than 250 words, and it needs to include not only, what the organization is and about in their problem, but it must touch on the solution. So if you've handed in part of an abstract this week, make sure it's no less than 250 words as you revise it, and that it includes the design decisions that you are making on how you're solving their advertising problem. And then tweak up your references page. Remember, your references are the last page of the paper. So when you hand in your paper, I sent out an email today, and in there was my little hint about Tapper: title page, abstract paper, references. So your paper should have a title page with your name, the title of the paper, your name, and Full Sail University, along with the running head. Then page 2 is the abstract. Then your paper starts on page 3. The first thing that should appear at the top of before you start the body of the paper is the title of the paper, and then go into the introduction and all that. So then your paper is going to go from page 3 to 5, 6, 7, 8, however long it is, and then page 9 would then be your reference page. So the references stand alone. Remember, this is Times New Roman 12-point, 1-inch margins all the way around. Yes, I can tell when the font is a little bigger or the margins are a little tweaked. We gave you word counts for every part of the paper, so make sure you're adhering to everything, because I do go over them with a fine-tooth comb in week 4. This is your opportunity to get a really good grade, because I basically told you what to fix, so you can fix that, and you're just doing a conclusion and the abstract. All right, so that's the research paper. But now let's talk about the Mastery Journal. Okay, this Mastery Journal reflection is a little bit more involved than usual. What we've got going on this week is you're going to think about what we've read in advertising concept and copy, and your notes from the tutorials on lynda.com with Craig Smallish. Then you're going to think about those, and you're going to write a 4 to 5 paragraph reflection of your experience creating the concepts and the designs for the testimonial ads. You need to quote directly from the Felton book and or the tutorials in proper APA style. Remember, I've been saying this all month. If you make a claim, back it up with evidence. Quote from the book. That's the best way. If you take those resources that we provide from you and you use them to back up your arguments, you're going to be good for the rest of the program. Your rationales will be strong because you're providing the evidence. So I'm telling you here, directly quote from the Felton book and or the tutorials as you go through this these bullet points here. You have to include relevant screenshots from this month's projects as you discuss all the following, these 4 items here. So talk about your target audience profiles. Make sure that there's a screenshot of them up there. Then you're going to show your 6 sketches and discuss your types of the testimonials and why you chose them. This is where you can directly quote from Felton. It's pages 241 to 246. How you looked at multiple approaches and tossed away the approaches you didn't think that were as strong. And then you're going to show your 3 initial comps. How did you develop these 3 strongest concepts, and why did you get rid of the other approaches that you didn't use? You want to make sure that you're connecting to your target audience. So you chose these 3 concepts to present to your client because this is how it ties to the target audience. How did you write your headlines? There you go. I give you page numbers, pages 195 to 218. How did you write the body copy? That starts on page 128. So think about how you went about creating these ads, and you're going to show us basically the process. You're going to start with the target audience profiles, show your 6 sketches, show your 3 initial comps. Then you're going to finish it up with your 3 revised comps that you handed in for week 3 that I promise I will have graded and back to you by Thursday. With the revised comps, you want to discuss how you created that unique solution. How did it push past the expectations of just a plain old ad? You want to talk about how that type of testimonial ad works. So you want to think about that. Then you're going to talk about your 3 takeaways that you learned from this class moving forward. You could talk about the taglines workshop. You could talk about the swipe file that you built in week 1 that went along with the Settle and Alric project. You can even talk about the research paper and how it actually helped you organize your thoughts to do a client pitch. So you want to make sure that you're listing those 3 takeaways, okay? You're going to post your reflection in your mastery journal. And remember, Tumblr tumbles. And so the last post is going to be the first thing that's up there. So as you get this all together, write all your writing offline in Microsoft Word, and then you got to put it in Tumblr backwards so that I think your 3 revised comps would go first. That way we're looking at your process from start to finish. So you're going to put it in Tumblr kind of backwards so that it reads from the personas all the way through your final ad comps. Then I want you to go in and before Sunday, if you can, make sure everything's up there. Go look at your classmates and give some feedback on their ads and share your ideas on that. It's not something that's graded because everything's due on Sunday, but it really helps you guys connect as a cohort, as a community, to see each other's work. You guys have been working on these all months. Now go look at each other's work and share some feedback on those in your mastery journal in the platform. Okay. Your resources are the tutorials that we did with Craig Smallish, Developing Ideas and Design Concepts with Craig Smallish, the Advertising Concept and Copybook by George Felton. Okay, so that's due on Sunday. It seems like a lot, but it's everything you've already done. And remember, you've already written about your target audience. You've already written about your sketches because you wrote rationales, and then you discussed your concepts in your research paper, and you talked about your comps and your final comps. So all this writing is already done. We just need you to rethink it and tie it into the actual Felton book and the tutorials, okay? Which a lot of you did in your rationales originally. Okay, that's all I've got going on. What's going to happen is the FSO is going to send you a student evaluation for the course. I read those very carefully every month. So if you have ideas for the class that you think should be included, please include that in your student evaluations. It really helps us keep the program fresh and keep you guys engaged. Okay, I want to thank you all for coming to class every week and participating and doing your best work. There was some really good work done this month, so you should all be proud of yourselves. I know I pushed you really hard, but there's a reason for that because every class going forward is going to get harder. So I wanted to make sure I exercised your writing muscles so that as you move forward through the program, you are going to be asked to write more papers. You are going to be asked every single month to write rationales. So you know how to do that. So your grades will just get better if you just keep listening and writing your rationales and using that research to back up your claims. Okay? If you have any questions and you're watching this on the archive, feel free to reach out to me. And I want to wish every single one of you a very happy holiday season. Remember, everything's due on December 16th, and then you're off for 3 weeks. So you don't have to think about Full Sail at all for 3 weeks, and you come back on January 7th all fresh and rested. So have a great holiday. Thanks.